Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about happiness. And we're not just talking about feelings. We're digging into the actual science, the formula for what really makes us happy.
Okay, so let's start with a big question. What if all the things you spend your life chasing, the stuff you think will finally make you happy, what if they just won't? We all do it, right? We think that if we just change our situation, our circumstances, that's the magic key.
You know the drill. If I could just make a little more money, if I could just get that promotion, or if I just looked different, then I'd be happy. It feels so true, doesn't it? But here's the thing. The research is pretty clear on this. All those external things, they have a surprisingly tiny effect on how happy we are in the long run.
I mean, check out this quote. This comes from a guy who was a literal rock star. He had it all: the fame, the money, the Grammy nominations, the whole shebang. And then, poof, it was gone. The band split up, the money dried up, but when researchers asked him about it, he said his happiness level was exactly the same. No difference at all. Wild, right?
Okay, so if the big things, the money, the job, the fame, if they aren't the real answer, then what is? Well, this is where it gets really interesting and honestly super empowering, because scientists have basically figured out a formula, an equation that shows us what happiness is actually made of. All right, here it is, the happiness pie chart. And the biggest slice, a whopping 50%, is determined by our genetic set point. It's kind of like a thermostat for happiness that you're born with. It's your natural baseline and, well, it's pretty hard to change. Now, look at this next slice. Remember all those things we thought were so important? The wealth, the job, even our health or marital status, all of that, it's just 10%. That's it. So if 50% is genetics and 10% is circumstances, what's left? Well, that leaves this massive, beautiful 40%. And that part, that's the game changer. That's the piece that is 100% in our control. So let's really break this down. On one side, you have that 10%. Income, social status, how we look, all the stuff we pour so much energy into. And on the other side, that's the 40%. Things like practicing gratitude, being kind, working toward our own personal goals. This is where the magic happens. Not in changing our circumstances, but in choosing our actions. Okay, so let's get practical. How do we actually start using that 40%? Let's talk about hacking our happiness. First up, one of the most powerful tools in the shed, gratitude. And look, this is more than just saying thanks. It's about consciously, actively looking for the good things in your life, big or small, and really appreciating them. And the research gives us some awesome, specific tips here. Get this. One study found that keeping a gratitude journal just once a week was actually more effective than doing it every day. Less is more. And if you want a really huge boost, try this. Write a letter to someone you're grateful for, someone you've never really thanked properly, and go deliver it in person. The people in the study who did that got a massive happiness kick that stuck around for weeks. All right, another big one, intentionally practicing acts of kindness. And we're not talking about grand, heroic gestures, though those are great too. This can be as simple as helping a coworker who's swamped, or leaving a nice note for someone. It's about doing something extra for another person, just because. Now, here's another super interesting finding from the research. In one study, they told students to do 5 acts of kindness in a week. But here's the twist. They split them into 2 groups. One group spread their acts out, one a day. The other group, they were told to do all 5 acts of kindness in a single day. And guess what? The group that binged on kindness got a way bigger happiness boost. So it seems like how you time it really, really matters. So why does this work so well? 2 big reasons. First, you get what they call a helper's high. It just feels good to help, and it boosts your own sense of self-worth. But maybe even more importantly, it shifts your focus. Instead of being stuck in your own head worrying about your own problems, you're looking outward. It's a total perspective shift. Okay, but here's the catch, and we've all been there. You get a new car, you get a raise, you're on top of the world. And then a few months later, it's just normal. The thrill is gone. So why does that happen? Why doesn't the good feeling last? Well, scientists have a name for it: hedonic adaptation. You can think of it as the happiness treadmill. We get something good, our happiness goes up, but then we just get used to it. We adapt, and pretty soon we're right back where we started, running on that treadmill to get the next hit of happiness.
And we adapt to pretty much everything. I mean, get this. Studies have even shown that the initial joy from getting married, one of the biggest life events imaginable, tends to fade back to your baseline level after about 2 years on average. 2 years. We just get used to it.
So that's a huge problem, right? If our brains are designed to get used to even the best things in life, how do we stop our happiness strategies, like gratitude and kindness, from getting old and stale? How do we stay off the treadmill?
Well, the answer, thankfully, is super simple. It's one word: variety. That's the secret sauce. To beat hedonic adaptation, you have to keep things fresh. You have to mix it up. So here's exactly how you do that. With gratitude, don't just do the same journal entry every single week. One week, yeah, do the journal. The next week, write that letter we talked about. The week after, just make a point to verbally tell someone you appreciate them. Same thing with kindness. One day, buy coffee for the person behind you. The next, offer to help a coworker. The next, volunteer somewhere new. It's the novelty that keeps the happiness boost alive.
All right, so let's bring this all home. What's the big takeaway here? What does this mean for you and your own happiness project?
If there is one number you walk away with today, it's this one: 40%. This is your power. This is your potential. You can't do much about your genetic lottery, and we know chasing circumstances is mostly a dead end. But this 40%, this is your playground. This is where you get to build your own happiness.
Because at the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to. Lasting joy isn't about having the perfect life circumstances. It's about the small, intentional choices you make every single day. Happiness isn't some treasure you go out and find. It's something you actively create. So that just leaves one last question. And this one is for you. This whole happiness thing, it isn't some huge, overwhelming quest. It's just a series of small choices. So, what's one small thing you're going to do with your 40% today?